experiencing this very hot weather at the moment. In fact, it's the fourth heat wave of the year, and in European countries, they're continuing to battle blazing wildfires triggered by extreme heat. This is becoming the new normal. But what impact do these heat waves have on our critical infrastructure? Professor Keith Bell from the University of Strathclyde leads the Energy Infrastructure Transitions team at the UK Energy Research Centre. He's with us now. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hopefully I got through your title okay there. Got all the right parts in the right places.
A lot of words, sorry.
No. So talk to us about the impact that the heat waves can have.
Yeah, well, obviously the most obvious thing is just about our comfort and just whether we feel like we're melting. Like, I mean, my mum feels like she's melting when it gets above 20 degrees, let alone up to sort of 32 degrees or 33 or 34 that we've been seeing in Scotland in the last few weeks. And I think the record is like 34.8, which is a few summers ago. So are our buildings adapted to those sorts of temperatures? And generally they're not. Can we get enough ventilation without letting noise or feeling insecure when we kind of open the windows? That sort of thing. And there's an impact on, as you were saying, the kind of infrastructure. So the demand for electricity is one thing. So cooling demand, for refrigerated warehouses, supermarkets, and buildings, office buildings and so on. But the electricity system doesn't have as much capacity to meet that, or to meet the demand in summer. The networks have less ability to carry current. They depend on the air for cooling, and if the air is warmer, they can't get as much cooling. So you have to limit how much current is being carried, how much power is being carried. The efficiency of solar PV panels and of thermal power stations, the conventional sort of power stations that make heat from steam, and then have to cool down to get the cycle through again. They're not as efficient either. So there's these sorts of impacts. The railways, the kind of the electrical overhead lines, they sag more. If they sag a lot, you've got a possibility that the catenary that is doing the connection from the train to the line damages it, and and there's interruptions to the service. Depending on air conditioning inside the trains, I know we had 2022 was extremely warm. A lot of the air conditioning was giving up. I remember being trapped inside a train there. It was extremely uncomfortable. Yeah. The rails can suffer, maybe buckling. The signalling is not really designed for these high temperatures. They might fail. So there's all sorts of things. And water, of course, water supplies. Often, we have in these warm spells. Of course, we're not getting as much rainfall. We had the driest spring since, I think, the 1960s, something like that. So our reservoirs and rivers are already low. Yeah. We come into another dry spell. All sorts of impacts.
Yeah. So, Professor, I'm going to do that classic thing of getting you to outline all the problems and now come up with a solution. But what can be done, or is there anything underway already?
There are lots of simple things that can be done for building design, for instance. So improved shading, like I say, being able to open the windows. In Southern Europe, they use shutters on the outsides of windows. That's such a simple thing to do, and yet we've never bothered, or we never needed to bother here.
Yeah.
With the kind of other sorts of infrastructure, with water supply, we need to be planning for the wide variations in water demand and make sure that our reservoirs are properly planned. It can help if we reduce leakage from pipes in terms of making sure that we get the clean water. We should be using what they call grey water for things that don't need the clean water, such as for flushing the loo or watering the garden.
Oh, okay.
We could be collecting in water butts and things like that. The railways and other sorts of systems just need to be designed for these higher temperatures. So especially when we're replacing the old bits of the network, whether it's a rail network or electricity network, they have to be, the specification of the new equipment should be appropriate for the higher extreme temperatures that we're going to be seeing in future. There's other things as well, such as, normally we expect with climate change, the spring will be warmer, but also on average wetter, albeit with these more frequent, very dry spells. It's kind of the complexities of the weather systems. We saw just there a few weeks ago, a very unusual high winds at this time of year, had a bigger impact than he might have expected for those wind speeds because the leaves were still on the trees.
Yeah.
So, impact on the vegetation and how that limits, the electricity network because they're close to the overhead lines. That all needs to be managed. So relatively simple things that can be done, but they need to be planned for. And there's some cost to doing the vegetation management and so on.
Really interesting to talk to you this morning. Thank you so much for coming on. That's Professor Keith Bell there from the University of Strathclyde, leading the Energy Infrastructure Transitions team there. The time now is